You may find yourself right now in a big mess. We all have been in a mess in our lives, and messes are just part of life. You may look at yourself right now in the mirror and you do not recognize the person that you're seeing. You are so deep into it and you wonder why that happened to you. We all have messes in our lives, whether we are rich or poor, young or old. There's always going to be a mess happening in our lives, whether small mess or big mess. And I'd like to share a truth, a comforting truth, I want to say, regarding when we are living or when we find ourselves in a mess, is that God is always with us in the mess, whether the mess is of our own fault or because the mess is just something that happened to us. God is always there. God is walking with us through that mess. God's grace is with us always, and it's undeserved and it's almost magical. It appears every time we find ourselves in a situation that is challenging and bring chaos all around us and in us, for sure. There's also a truth that we need to be aware of, is that being a Christian, believing in God or having a spiritual life is not something that will shield us from all life's tragedies, that will shield us from the messiness that life is. Having faith, having a spiritual life, being a Christian, first and foremost means that through the difficulties of life, through the messiness that life is, we are not alone. We are with God. God walks with us on that. And that is a comforting truth as well, is that we are not immune. Being a Christian is not a life insurance that we are immune to any difficulties, but rather that when we are Christian, when we have a faith, that faith should nourish our daily lives through the messiness that life may bring, but also through the beauty that life may bring. Through the messiness of life, through the messiness that we may find ourselves in, that you may find yourself in right now, it's important to remember that prayer is really the key. Prayer is our steering wheel, not our spare tire. And when we pray, we need to understand that prayer is not a magical spell that will make all the chaos that we find ourselves in disappear all of a sudden. But prayer will give us that energy, that grace, that reminder that through all of this, that as we go through the messiness of that situation, it will give us the strength and the wisdom to learn from it and to see the positive side of it all. And I would invite you to reflect on a past messy situation and look back and take a moment and reflect on past troubles where God was. You may not have seen God at the moment, but in hindsight, you see, oh, God was there all along. And if you find yourself in a difficult situation right now, it is still the truth. God is not absent. God is not nowhere to be found. God is working in you at the moment. Whether you sense it, whether you feel it or not, God is always there. So if you find yourself right now in a messy mess, remember that God's grace is there to lift you up. God's grace is there to bring value to who you are and what you are doing, and especially what you are going through. God's perfect will be made through this difficult situation. God's perfect will be revealed through our imperfections, through our chaotic lives, and through the difficult times we may find ourselves at the moment. Remember, through life's messy situation, you are not alone. You are with God.